What's a secret you won't share with anyone in person, but you are willing to share anonymously? I've been homeless for a while and I have a job interview at CVS tomorrow at noon. I'm so goddamn terrified. I need this job so badly. I'm desperate. Throwaway. When I was a little girl 3 or 4, I had a friend who came over to my house to play. She liked for the two of us to play in the doghouse in the backyard, where she would try to get me to play a game that she said her dad played with her. The game involved touching each other in ways an adult should never touch a child. My mom thought it was weird that the girl always wanted to play in the doghouse with me, and so got rid of the doghouse pretty quickly. I didn't understand what the game meant then, and it took 2 decades for me to realize just what it meant. It was like lightning just struck me one day, and I suddenly remembered the incident and understood what it meant. That little girl was abused by her dad, and I can't even remember her name. I still haven't gotten the courage to ask my mom if she remembers the girl. I've never tried to find her. I have never told anybody, and I'm ashamed of my cowardice. Update. Thank you all for your support, kind words, and encouragement. I spoke with my mom about everything tonight and she remembers the little girl. I know her name and I'm going to try and find her. Smiley face. I revealed to a Reddit friend fact I am a closet schizophrenic who has had daily conversations for 40 years with my daughter who passed away as an infant. I cannot tell you how liberating it was to finally share something that I couldn't even reveal to my therapist. Now that I am Reddit outed, I've shared the news with my husband, best friend, and therapist. What did I learn? That they suspected my condition all along, and are unconditionally supportive. There is a snake that lives in the wall along the stairs leading to my basement. He has his area, and I have mine, and we respect each other's space. I am secretly terrified that I will never have a healthy romantic relationship. I'm the reason my cousin is mentally handicapped. We are the same age, and when we were 7 our grandpa bought dirt bikes for us. Well, we decided to make our own trail in the woods. Took the entire summer. I put this tree branch purposely at roughly head level, just so he could duck under it and it would look awesome. The branch was heavy, but I was able to sit it conveniently between 2 trees. He was more brave than me, so he went first. Being dumb kids. We didn't wear helmets. I yelled for him to duck, but he didn't and hit his head on the branch. Got knocked backwards and hit his head again straight into the ground. I told everyone it was an accident. Grandpa sold the dirt bikes. I didn't see my cousin a whole lot after that. That was nearly 25 years ago. I see him every Christmas, and it's always the same. In a wheelchair, being spoon-fed by his mom. He can't speak. He likes to draw funny shapes. He most likely doesn't remember the incident, and I don't know if he remembers me, but that's what haunts me. I was 16 and very curious about sex, surprise thanks to all of the porn in the ottoman at the foot of my parents' bed. So decided one evening that it was time for third base with the boyfriend. Only I was a natural redhead and all the ladies in the magazines had black pubic hair. It was the 80s, so I thought I was abnormal. Cut a long story short, I dabbed on black shoe polish before meeting him. Fortunately, he was too nervous to go anywhere near the polished area, so he never did find out. Neither has anyone else until now. My mom and her boyfriend abused me and my 2 younger siblings, brother and sister, when we were very young. I was the oldest, at age 5 at the time of my brother's first birthday, when I noticed something wasn't right. But at 5 I didn't really understand what was going on, and I thought abuse was normal, until one day, a few days after my brother's birthday, she told me my brother was sick and that he needed to go to the hospital. I didn't think much about it and said my goodbyes. As my mom dropped me off at my aunt's house on the way to the hospital, I arrived at my aunt's house. She gave me a bath, and me and my cousins played and watched television until it turned dark. Then something went wrong. We heard a knock on the door. I heard, and started after the door, thinking my mom was here with my baby brother. I was thinking he was okay and everything was fine. My aunt opened the door, and started to cry. I tried to piece it all together before I realized there were 2 tall men at the door. Police officers. They picked me up and told me I had to go away. I remember screaming for my aunt and I didn't get to say goodbye. At the time I didn't understand what was happening at all. I even thought maybe they were picking me up and taking me to my mother. We arrive at a place I cannot remember much about, where they fed me and took care of me that night until the sun came up. After I had woken up, it was off to another location. They were taking me to a foster home. I was living with a large family I didn't know, and it was all too scary for me. I stayed there for a few weeks until I was moved somewhere else. There I waited in a room when I saw somebody I knew, my grandparents and my sister, but my brother wasn't there. I began to worry that he was still sick. I got so excited still, and even more so learning that they were taking me home. That's when they began to explain to me where I was and why all of this had happened. All the abuse and neglect was too much for him. He wasn't sick. He was dying, and the reason why I was taken away was simply because my mother and her boyfriend was charged for abusing us and causing him to pass away. All this didn't really faze me at the time, since I was still just a child. But after the years I started to blame myself for not being able to do anything about it, even though I was so young and couldn't possibly do so. Every year, on his birthday, I go to where he was buried and put a flower on his grave. My aunt told me he loved yellow, so I always make sure to get yellow flowers, and maybe a small toy I think he would have liked. And sometimes I wonder if he's up there, looking down on me, and likes the fact that I still visit him every year. Ate a huge sub at Subway. On my way out I let out a massive fart. I then drove to a gas station. I got out of my car and some old lady quickly parks her car behind me and angrily slams her car door. Comes up to my face and starts screaming, "Just who do you think you are? Farting in my face like that? You're lucky I didn't calls the cops on you." She writes down my license plate number and drives off fast. I stood there confused for like 5 minutes. I never told this to anyone. Leukemia. Calais, slowest growing form of leukemia, and there's no treatment other than stem cell. And hopefully I won't need that anytime soon. Not even 40 yet. I don't look sick. Even my own family doesn't believe me. So why would anyone else? I guess you need to be frail, pale, skinny and bald to have cancer, right? I don't really want to be with my girlfriend romantically, but she's my best friend, and I don't want to lose her from my life, so I won't break it off. I thought I learned how to tie my shoes when my mom showed me in pre-K, and I went around telling everyone I knew how to tie my shoes. The next time I tried to tie them though, it turned out I forgot how, but I was too embarrassed to ask for help. I didn't learn how to tie my shoes until I was 18 or 19. I have stage 4 stomach cancer. Over a 2-month period earlier this year, I unexpectedly dropped about 30 pounds of weight from 220 pounds to 190. I was urged by friends and family to seek medical help, so I did. I was diagnosed with gastritis. After failure to successfully treat it, they realized there was a misdiagnosis. I've been misdiagnosed since then with Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, and ulcerative colitis over a few months. Last Thursday, I received the diagnosis of stage 4 gastric cancer. Finally, one of the doctors I've been seeing decided to do an endoscopy, where they run a tube with a camera down into your organs to get a better look. They found a tumorous growth inside of my stomach. It proves to be malignant. They've found that it has spread to nearby lymph nodes, and I have an appointment tomorrow for them to check other organs they now believe may have also been affected. I do not know how to tell my family about this. My symptoms have been persistent nausea, blood in vomit and stool, disinterest in food, and even when hungry I feel full after a couple bites. I've continued to lose weight and am now down to about 175. I haven't weighed 175 since middle school. I'm constantly fatigued, which sucks, working 60 hours a week doing physical work. Fairly constant discomfort in my abdomen as well. I've been diligent in hiding all of this from my wife, kids, parents, siblings, co-workers, and friends. I never told them much after the diagnosis of Crohn's disease and diverticulitis. I do not want anyone to treat me differently or try to do things for me that I can still do. I just want to stay useful for as long as I can. I don't want to burden anyone with such news. And I'd like to keep my dignity for the time being. After a lifetime of bipolar disorder, I have never liked myself or wanted to stay alive. I had a successful suicide attempt 12 years ago but was revived shortly after by emergency medical services. 3 years later I tried again and failed. Less than a year later I was Baker acted for starting to set forth a plan to kill myself. I have always hated myself and thought of suicide. I've also always been an atheist, so I do not fear an afterlife of torment and despair. But this diagnosis almost makes me want to believe in a God. I know I will not live, and there is nothing I can do about it. Not anyone else. I don't have to give my family a bigger grief of suicide now. I can just let this cancer take me, and take me it will. This is my secret, and I will keep it from everyone but you. Reddit. As nobody in my personal life uses this site, I can rest assured you will keep it too. It does feel much better to get that off my chest. I appreciate those who took the time to read it. My wife cheated on me with a professional soccer player. She claims to not have had sex with him, but I don't know if I can believe her. Before I found out by looking at her phone. She did not tell me we were having arguments and just not getting along. One night I finally had enough and approached her to discuss what was happening to us. It was then that she told me that she didn't know if she loved me anymore. 2 weeks later I found sexual pictures of her sent to him, texts between him and her that discussed getting together to hook up, and the most hurtful things a wife could say about her husband. At this point I understood why she was feeling detached from me. All her emotional needs were being met by this other man. We have 3 amazing kids, a son and 2 daughters, 10, 9, 7 respectively. They are such good kids. I am dumbfounded that my wife would do this. We have been together for 20 years and married for 14. I think back to when she loved me and we were so happy. Life has been challenging for us, but not any different or difficult than most couples. I am so in love with her. She is an amazing mom, extremely beautiful to me, and has a very attractive bubbly personality that everyone loves. I am so proud that she is my wife. At least I was. Fast forward to now. It roughly been 7 to 8 months. She has yet to show any remorse or show me any affection. I'm so lonely, sad, afraid, and ashamed. I am very ashamed to say that I have thought about suicide. That way she would be rid of me and she could be happy. Of course that I could never do that to my kids. They would be so hurt and confused. At this point I pray that I will get a fatal disease or have a fatal accident. We have been and still are going to counseling. She did end the relationship with the other man the day after I found out. She did say she loves me but is not romantically in love with me. Her actions are just not showing me much. I haven't told a soul except the counselor. Close friends of mine always ask me what is wrong. My brothers and parents do the same. I don't want them to think that my wife is anything but a good wife and lover. Pushing through. Hopefully this has a good ending. Thanks for reading. I want to murder my daughter's childhood rapist. It was her mother's boyfriend and it happened when she was 10. I found out about this only after many years. My daughter knows that I know, but she refuses to talk about it and will not bring charges against him. Maybe out of fear. Or she is moving past it. I don't know. Only the daunting specter of a life sentence in prison stops me from hunting him down and killing the POS. If I magically got a pass from the police. 10 out of 10 he is 6 feet under. When I was younger I pooped in a water slide and saw my poop floating the entire day in the pool on the end of the slide. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend because he was cheating. He and his best friend decided to break into my apartment and wait for me to get home from going out. What started out as a chance for him to talk some sense into me and get me back turned into them keeping me hostage, raping and beating me for 18 hours. I never told anyone what happened because they threatened me. My family never understood why I broke up with him and they still invited him to family functions. I would go to holidays and he would show up. I asked them not to, but they still did. I stopped going around them and they have no idea why. I miss my nephews and nieces, but I can't go around them and risk seeing him, and at this point it's been so long since it happened that I don't think they will believe me. I just want the pain of what happened and having to lose my family over it to end, but it never does. I enjoy video games, movies and TV shows more than my real life.